Hello, Maddie here. We're back with another book. When are we not back with another book? Although I have been told by two separate people that I should do videos on other things. Not that my books aren't good, but they're like, you just have more to say and you could talk about all these other things. And I don't know. It's not that I don't agree with them, it's that it's a little bit scary to kind of reach into another topic. No, I don't want to be a voice. Not that I don't want to be a voice for people. I'm scared about that. Wait. I guess. Anyways, talk about being a voice for people. We're talking about North and South by Elizabeth Gaskins, if I remember correctly. Gaskins. Maddie. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. And this is hefty book. It was written a long time ago, but it's written about kind of the Industrial Revolution in England. And so it has a lot to do with like mills and stuff like that. Anyways, let's read our little synopsis. Although I'm going to see if I can find a different synopsis than the one on the back of the book. I am getting close to running out of videos that have blogs already. Like I'm kind of getting to where blogs that have like topic or are just like stopgap blogs. They're not about anything substantial. So luckily my life gets a little bit less crazy here in just a few weeks. And once that happens, I'll be writing a lot more blogs that will go with videos. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. When her father leaves the church in a crisis of conscience, Margaret Hale is uprooted from her comfortable home in Hampshire to move with her family to the north of England. Initially repulsed by the ugliness of her new surroundings in the industrial town of Milton, Margaret becomes aware of the poverty and suffering of the local mill workers and develops a passionate sense of social justice. This is intensified by her tempestuous relationship with the mill owner and self-made man, John Thornton, as their fierce opposition over his treatment of his employees masks a deeper attraction. In North and South, Elizabeth Gaskell skillfully fuses individual feeling with social concern, and in Margaret Hale creates one of the most original heroines of Victorian literature. That is a substantial blog for a very, very substantial book. This book is not to be taken on lightly, but that's almost why it's so important to read. I talk about so many books that are short and light and cute and make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. This book is some of those things. It is a Maddie guaranteed book, so you will get the ending that we all hope for, but there's a lot more depth to this book than just the romance and your main couple. So this book follows Margaret Hale, who moves from the south of England to the north of England because of her father's, like it says, crisis of conscience, and he leaves the church. He doesn't stop being a Christian, but he leaves the church specifically. And they move from farms and southern charm and fields and all those lovely things to a very industrial town that is very cramped, and the air is full of soot and cotton and all these things, and it's very jarring for her. It's also very kind of confusing and overwhelming, and like, what the heck is going on? Why are these people okay with all of this? And I'm actually very proud of how my blog goes over all of this, and it talks about how the different classes, like the kind of low, middle, and high class or upper class, how they kind of look differently in North versus South, how Margaret kind of finds herself in different classes at different times, and how she approaches different classes at different times, how they can be facing similar problems, especially the lower class of just kind of, overworked and just tired and fatigued, and how those translate differently based on your industry and things like that. And it's very interesting, and it's really kind of great remembering that's part of why I feel this story has stood the test of time, because the romance is very cute and Mr. Thornton just adores Margaret even when she actively, verbally, physically disdains him. He very much adores her and is falling in love with her, and his love for her is very pure. It's very, I don't want to say innocent, but it's so straightforward in his love for her, and he knows who she is. He knows why she doesn't like him and all these things, and he's always working to make himself a better person, but he's also working to make himself better well known, because some of her disdain is ill-founded. Yeah, I think this book has stood the test of time, not because it is another Pride and Prejudice. While it does have similar progression of story as Pride and Prejudice for our couple, there's a lot more to it in terms of the issues of the time, kind of the things people were experiencing, the issues they were coming up against, the things that were keeping them from living full, fulfilling lives, those kinds of things. And I think while our issues are very different, we've got lots of laws in place to keep employees safe and healthy and all these things they were fighting against at this time, because these mills were a new thing. And so like one of the issues is like employees workers getting lots of cotton in their lungs, and that could kill them, kind of things like that, of people running these mills who don't want to spend all this money on these things to help help employees live longer. That's less of an issue now, but we still have these issues of kind of employee to manager to owner, things like that, kind of these varying levels of work within the workforce, I guess, and kind of how you can work to make the most of your career, how you can fight against injustices and kind of picking your battles and things like that. I feel they're maybe not as, like, they're not quite as obvious as then, because then they were like, this work is literally killing us. And now it's like, I feel like it's killing us mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, but it's definitely not this. It's not the same, but there are still similar issues of just working to make your life better and all the things you're going to come up against to work to make your life better. Because it's not that the world doesn't want you to have a better life, but there are lots of people that want their life to be better. And by helping you get a better life takes away from them having a, what they would say, better life. And so understanding the things worth fighting against and understanding things worth taking a stand against, but not at the detriment of necessarily your own life, but hopefully, ideally, for the betterment of everyone, whether it be in work or just life in general. So I think this does a very good job of that, of kind of showing you that, pushing back the kind of positive and negatives of it, because there are some people that do it wrong and there are some people that do it right, because pushing back against evil or, bad people isn't inherently good. It definitely depends on how you do it, how you go about it. The words you choose, the actions you choose all matter. How you go about fighting these injustices and inequalities. All of that, I feel like, gives you a pretty good picture that this is not an easy read. It is a very dense book. It's a very hefty book. You deal with some deaths. I say it in the blog and I'll say it that they're not necessarily easy deaths, but they all serve a purpose. They're all very much part of the story, and they are part of this narrative that Elizabeth Gaskell is trying to convey to her reader. And so they each serve a purpose. They come about in different ways at different times, but they are all very purposeful and important. We don't love that, but we understand. And that's how I am with a lot of things in book, movies and my stories. It's not that I don't want nothing bad to happen. It's that it kind of needs to serve a purpose. Like, don't just kill people off or have this horrible thing happen just to make an issue, but help our characters grow, help progression happen, use it. And that's how I felt in my own life when I got my diagnosis. I was like, okay, this needs to be used. If I'm going to have this diagnosis, if I'm about to go through this thing, it's got to be used for others. So that's kind of how I feel about things. It's not that hardships are never going to happen, but let them be used. Let them serve a purpose rather than just being oh, this stinks. That's just a personal philosophy. I don't know how other people feel about that. That's how I feel about it. So North and South is very good, very dense, so good. I also want to mention that, like the Pride and Prejudice BBC series, it also has a series. I don't remember how many episodes, but it is also very long and has many episodes, but it's also very good, very true to the original book, like the Pride and Prejudice BBC. It is not a perfect one-to-one, but if you watched that series and had to write a paper on it, you could probably get away with it. I'm just saying. So I highly recommend the BBC series. I also highly recommend reading this book. It's when you watch The Thing, even if it's really good, you're still not getting the full 100% of what the author's trying to convey. You can only get that if you read the book itself. That's kind of how I feel. The series is very, very good, but you're only getting probably about 75-80% of what the author is trying to convey, because while very good, it's still condensed. What I bemoan the most in my blog is that you lose a lot of Mr. Thornton's thoughts, because he has lots of thoughts about Margaret and they're very sweet and very pure. His love for her is so constant and consistent. It's kind of mind-blowing to me, because she does dislike him for a good chunk of this book, and she's very vocal about her dislike of him. And through it, he sees where she's coming from, and it's a mix of him wanting to be better and him wanting her to understand him better. It's a mix of those two things, because it's not that he thinks everything he does is wrong and all needs to be fixed, but he also sees that there's two sides to both coins, and he wishes she could understand him better, and also wishes to be better himself. It's so good. And on the other side of that coin is, while his love for Margaret is kind of so pure and so consistent, it also kind of, through that consistent love, she realizes she does need to change. She does have growing up to do. There is a lot of the world, especially their world in the North, that she doesn't understand. And so she also works on herself. And then they get to a lovely meeting point, and it's so precious, and I love it. But that's also that's the side story of this book. This book is a lot more about commentary of the time. And like I said, while we're not necessarily having the same issues as them, it is still very being socially conscious about the world that we're living in, and not just living in the world, but adding to it. And working to make your life and other people's lives better through your actions, reactions, words, all of those things I think are really important. And I think this book does a really good job of that. And it's still super relevant today. I hope this makes you think. I hope you pick up this book. If nothing else, I hope you watch this series because it's so good. And if nothing else, at least go read my blog. That would be super great. I hope this makes you think and I hope it encourages you to maybe pick up a book or maybe just look up and look around you and maybe want to contribute to the life that you want to have and understand that to contribute to the life that you want to have, you have to contribute to the world around you. Some food for thought. With all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, great week, great weekend, great month, great year. I hope you have all the greats because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, bye.